Another restaurant chain tonight has just filed for bankruptcy as the list of restaurants closing grows longer and longer. Why are so many failing? Could it be that we simply have too many?
Something truly scary is happening in the restaurant industry, and there are forces working hard to hide it from you. In the last 18 months, over 2,500 restaurants have vanished across America. Not struggling little places, giants. Red Lobster filed for bankruptcy. TGI Fridays lost 75% of its locations. Boston Market? Down to just 16 stores from 1,200. These numbers have never been seen in the history of the U.S. restaurant industry. No one warned you. No one cared. But while grocery bills are getting higher, your eating out options are getting smaller and out of reach. Your favorite restaurant, your last cheap meal with family and grandkids, gone, vanished? This is just the tip of the iceberg, and we're not even halfway through 2026. I spent weeks researching every major chain in trouble. What I found blew me away, and it concerns you. Something much darker is happening to our economy. Today, I'm giving you the complete list, 30 chains, real numbers, and exactly what it means for you and your family. If you like what we do and want to get it first, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another important video. Stay until the end to hear my predictions of what will happen in the next 5 years. Don't be surprised if your habits change after watching this. Here we go. 1. Red Lobster. Let's start with the one that shocked everyone. In May 2024, Red Lobster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and shuttered over 100 locations overnight. Employees showed up to find doors chained, signs stripped, careers erased. No warning, no goodbye. The company blamed Ultimate Endless Shrimp, a $20 promotion that lost them $11 million because customers ate too much. But that's the cover story. The real killer? Private equity. Thai Union, the seafood conglomerate that owned Red Lobster, had locked them into purchasing agreements, forcing them to buy overpriced seafood from their own parent company. Before that, a sale-leaseback deal made Red Lobster pay massive rent on buildings it used to own. They weren't failing because customers stayed away. They were being bled dry by financial engineering. Your endless shrimp wasn't the problem. Wall Street was. Now think about what Red Lobster actually meant to people. For 50 years, this was where working families celebrated. Anniversary dinners, birthdays, graduations. The Cheddar Bay biscuits arriving at the table meant tonight was special. You didn't need a reservation or a dress code. You just needed something worth marking. Over 650 locations remain, but the chain that once had nearly 900 is hollowed out. And for the couples who saved Red Lobster for special occasions, those celebrations either move to restaurants they can't afford or disappear into frozen dinners eaten alone. This isn't just about seafood. It's about being quietly told that your milestones don't matter enough to keep the doors open. And while your seafood favorite drowns, the place that invented Friday nights is dying even faster. 2. TGI Fridays. Here's a number that should stop you cold. At the start of 2024, TGI Fridays had 270 U.S. locations. By early 2025, 85. That's not decline. That's erasure. 75% of their footprint. Gone in 12 months. Columbus, Ohio, wiped out. Buffalo, New York, gone. Dozens across California, Florida, New Jersey, vanished while customers were still planning their next visit. TGI Fridays invented casual dining in America. First happy hour, first flair bartenders. That red and white awning that said, "The weekend starts now." For 60 years, Friday night meant Fridays. Mozzarella sticks, potato skins. The booth where you unwound from the week. They filed Chapter 11 in November 2024 with tens of millions in debt. Brought back a former CEO for a rescue mission. But here's the part they don't advertise. While American locations were closing, the company was opening 75 new restaurants overseas. They didn't just close stores, they used bankruptcy to walk away from bad deals and shift focus to Asia. One server in Massachusetts who lost her job? It's not just work. It's where I watched families come back to the same booth every year, where kids grew up and brought their own kids. When Friday night stops feeling like Friday, something important dies with it. And this is happening all over the country. If losing Friday hurts, imagine losing breakfast. 3. Denny's. Denny's never closed. 24 hours, 7 days. Grand slams at 2 a.m. For truckers hauling freight through the night, the only warm meal for 100 miles. For night shift nurses, somewhere to decompress. For insomniacs, a place that hadn't given up on them. In October 2024, Denny's announced 150 closures, 10% of their system erased. While customers counted pennies for a grand slam, the corporate side was in turmoil. Shareholder lawsuits accused Denny's of misleading investors about a proposed private equity buyout. The people eating breakfast had no idea the company was fighting legal battles over its own future. One retired postal worker in Arizona. That booth by the window was my office. Every morning, same spot, same waitress asking about my grandkids. Now it's a mattress store. If you're living on Social Security, you know what this means. The one place you could sit for an hour, feel like part of the world, for the cost of a cup of coffee. Take that away and the walls get closer. But Denny's is still operating. Boston Market is barely alive. 4. Boston Market. 1,100 locations at their peak. Remember that? 27 today. Can you believe it? Not 270. 27. In the 1990s, Boston Market answered the question every exhausted parent was asking. How do I feed my family a real dinner without spending 2 hours in the kitchen? Rotisserie chicken, mashed potatoes, creamed spinach, mac and cheese. Comfort food that tasted homemade, ready in minutes, at prices working families could afford. For a few years, it felt like the future of dinner. Then it all fell apart. They didn't just forget the mashed potatoes, they forgot to pay workers and taxes. Boston Market's collapse left a trail of destruction. Unpaid wages in multiple states, tax liens, landlord lawsuits. Employees reported showing up to locked doors and learning after the fact that their location was shut down. No warning, no final paycheck. Just chains on the glass and a phone number that nobody answered. One manager who gave them 20 years, worked his way up from cashier, trained hundreds of employees, missed his kids' events to cover shifts, showed up one morning to find paper taped to the door. That was his notice. 20 years. A piece of paper. If you still have a Boston Market near you, you're witnessing something rare. A survivor from a world that's already gone. The smell of that rotisserie chicken spinning in the window used to be on every corner. Now it's almost extinct. And while convenient dinners vanish, so do the places where childhood memories were made. 5. Pizza Hut. The red roof, stained glass lamps, arcade games, book it program. Birthday parties under that roof are why some of you still remember the taste of personal pan pizza. 500 dine-in locations closed. The sit-down Pizza Hut is extinct, but it didn't die naturally. Yum! Brands slowly starved the dine-in restaurants so the app orders could live. They prioritized delivery and carry-out, let the red roof stores decay, and used franchisees to take the hit for closures while corporate shifted capital to higher margin formats. They didn't close your neighborhood Pizza Hut because nobody came. They closed it because delivery apps were more profitable, and you were never part of that calculation. A Columbus father took his daughter to see where he celebrated as a kid. Building's still there. It's a payday loan place now. Red roof painted gray. How do you explain that your childhood got painted over? If you're a grandparent, you're starting to realize something painful. The places you promised to take your grandkids might not exist when they're old enough to go. And if pizza night isn't safe, neither is Sunday fried chicken. 6. KFC. The bucket meant Sunday dinner was handled, and we all got excited for it. Paper plates, 11 herbs and spices. The solution for when mom was tired but everyone deserved a real meal. One bad franchise deal and a whole region loses its Sunday bucket. That's what happened across the Midwest. A large franchisee operating 20-plus locations hit financial trouble and abruptly shuttered stores. Workers reported showing up to locked doors without warning. No severance, no notice. Just dark windows and a corporate statement about operational challenges. The chicken sandwich wars that made Chick-fil-A a phenomenon? KFC showed up late and lost. Same-store sales slide, traffic drops. The Colonel's empire is fracturing. A Kentucky grandmother's church group met at KFC every Sunday for 30 years. Nearest one's now 40 minutes away. Most Sundays, they just go home. Small towns are losing their only fried chicken that isn't gas station food. What used to be a $20 family dinner is now a 40-minute drive each way, if you can afford the gas. Let's pause here for a moment. That's 6 chains. 6 American institutions, seafood, casual dining, breakfast, family dinner, pizza, fried chicken, all shrinking or dying. These aren't obscure brands. These are the places where you raised kids, celebrated promotions, met friends after work. And every one of them has the same story. Corporate decisions made in boardrooms, paid for by customers who never saw it coming. Now let's look at how the system actually works. 7. Starbucks. Starbucks isn't closing because it's broke. It's closing because the places that needed it most stopped feeling worth the trouble. For 30 years, Starbucks was the third place, somewhere between home and work, where you could sit for hours, read the paper, meet a friend, feel like part of something without spending much. For retirees, remote workers, and lonely people with nowhere else to go, those green chairs and familiar sounds were a refuge. September 2025, mass closures announced. Around 500 locations cut. $1 billion restructuring, 3,000 employees gone, 6 consecutive quarters of declining sales. The company says it's about safety and underperforming stores. Workers and unions tell a different story. They allege closures disproportionately targeted stores that were organizing, and that safety concerns were a convenient justification. The company denies this, but the pattern, workers say, speaks for itself. Starbucks is pivoting. Drive-thrus, suburban efficiency, mobile orders. The walk-in neighborhood shops where you could sit for hours without anyone bothering you, those are the ones disappearing. The places in cities, near bus stops, and older neighborhoods, The locations were people on foot, people without cars, people just looking for a warm chair used to be welcome. A retired insurance adjuster in Philadelphia had gone to the same Starbucks every morning for 9 years. Same chair by the window, same barista who knew my order. We'd talk about the Eagles, her kids, whatever was in the news. Last month they closed it. Said the neighborhood wasn't safe. It was safe enough for 9 years, it was safe enough for me. Now even your morning cup of coffee is being optimized out of existence. Your coffee shop's retreating. So is your steakhouse. 8. Outback Steakhouse. October 2025. 21 restaurants closed overnight. No warning. Another 22 losing leases soon. The Bloomin' Onion chain is wilting, and investors have been screaming about it for years. Parent company Bloomin' Brands has been repeatedly called out by shareholders for letting Outback underperform, while rivals like Longhorn and Texas Roadhouse gain market share. Instead of fixing the menu or prices, they chose portfolio optimization, corporate speak for quietly pulling the plug on whole communities. The stock has collapsed 40%. Competitors are up 5 to 6%. Customers want value. At Outback, they're getting smaller steaks, bigger bills, and executives who decided your town wasn't worth saving. One Atlanta couple went to their anniversary spot of 22 years, found a for lease sign where their memories used to be. They didn't lose that restaurant to bad luck. They lost it to a spreadsheet. And while steakhouses struggle, the burger joints that anchored small-town America are disappearing faster. 9. Steak and Shake. Before the gourmet burger craze, before Five Guys and Shake Shack, there was Steak and Shake. Founded 1934. Depression era. Real beef, hand-formed, cooked to order at working-class prices. Across the Midwest, it was the late-night institution. Neon signs glowing at 2 a.m., families in booths, teenagers working their first jobs, truckers grabbing a meal between hauls. Then an investor named Sardar Biglari took over. He didn't fix the diner. He treated it like an investment vehicle. Full service became counter service. Staff slashed to bare minimums. Locations forced into franchise conversions whether they wanted it or not. Over 200 restaurants closed since 2018. What remains runs on skeleton crews with quality that regulars barely recognize. One investor tried to optimize a 1930s diner and ended up bulldozing it. An Indianapolis father took his kids to the same Steak and Shake his dad had taken him to. I wanted them to taste what I grew up with. Same burgers, same shakes. But when we walked in, there was one guy working the whole restaurant. Counter service only. Shake machine broken. We waited 20 minutes, gave up, and left without ordering. My kids asked why I was upset. How do you explain that what you're mourning isn't the burger? It's the memory of what this place used to be. Regional identity, stripped for parts and sold for scrap. 10. Ruby Tuesday. 945 locations in 2007. 206 today. Here's what killed them. They bet your salad bar on Wall Street debt. Ruby Tuesday expanded aggressively into malls and suburban strip centers, financing it all with borrowed money. When traffic started dropping, they couldn't service the debt. The 2020 bankruptcy wiped out hundreds of locations, while critics questioned whether leadership had prioritized their own interests as the brand slid toward collapse. A New Jersey woman drove to grab lunch like she had for years. Empty lot. Sign gone. She sat in her car processing what had vanished. The debt got paid. The customers got for lease signs. 11. Dave & Buster's. Since 1982, Dave & Buster's was where families celebrated. Birthday parties, date nights, the place where you could be a kid again. 11 consecutive quarters of declining sales. Stock down sharply. Credit rating downgraded. Critics say they turned your kid's arcade into a debt paydown machine. Hiking prices while cutting staff. Squeezing every dollar from families who just wanted a fun night out. A Phoenix grandfather used to take his grandsons monthly. But prices kept climbing toward $100 for a couple hours. For what? Tickets worth a plastic toy? The looks on their faces when he said they couldn't go this time. One more thing that makes weekends harder to fill. 12. Noodles and Company. For office workers sick of fast food, Noodles was the answer. Wisconsin mac and cheese, pad thai, real food at prices that didn't require a business expense report. Wall Street literally told them, fix it or get kicked off the exchange. NASDAQ issued delisting warnings twice. The CEO resigned. They're holding $108 million in debt against $2.3 million cash. 49 closures by end of 2026. A legal assistant in Denver went to the same Noodles every Tuesday for 3 years. Same table by the window. Same 45 minutes of peace. One Thursday it was just gone. No sign, nothing. It sounds stupid to be upset about a noodle place, but it was my place. What used to be an $8 lunch is now $14, if you can find one still open. Even the small escapes are being priced out of reach. See the pattern yet? This isn't bad luck. It's a business model that squeezes until things break. Now let's talk about what happens when the late-night options disappear. 13. Del Taco. On the West Coast, Del Taco was the late-night institution. While Taco Bell dominated nationally, Del Taco had its own loyal following. People who swore the tacos were better, the portions bigger, the prices fairer. At 2 a.m. after a shift, you could get hot food in your stomach for a few bucks. It wasn't fancy, it was there. Then Jack in the Box decided to build a Mexican food empire. They bought Del Taco in 2021 for $575 million. 4 years later, they sold it for $115 million. A $500 million experiment that ended with your cheap tacos gone. What happened? They abandoned the value positioning that made Del Taco work, raised prices aggressively, changed the menu. Suddenly you're paying almost Chipotle prices for Del Taco food, and customers stopped coming. Same-store sales dropped. Franchisees collapsed. 18 Colorado locations liquidated. For late shift workers, nurses, warehouse staff, security guards, Del Taco was sometimes the only hot meal available between midnight and 6 a.m. What used to be a $4 stop is now pushing $10. Most people just skip it. One more small comfort priced out of reach. 14. Jack in the Box. They never fully escaped the old scandals, and franchisees have been paying the price ever since. Jack in the Box has been haunted by food safety baggage for decades, but the real damage came from executives who focused on financial engineering instead of supporting the people actually running restaurants. Weak franchise economics, underfunded locations, a corporate strategy that treated stores as line items instead of businesses. While Del Taco was sold at a catastrophic loss, Jack launched Jack on Track, closing 150 to 200 locations, slashing costs, hoping something sticks. Stock down 68%. Net loss, $80.7 million. A San Diego night shift nurse. That was the only thing open between the hospital and home at 3 a.m. Now I just go home hungry. This is what happens when the late night options disappear. Nurses, security guards, factory workers, truckers, people who work while the rest of us sleep, lose access to hot food entirely. They're being abandoned by companies that decided 3 a.m. customers aren't worth the trouble. 15. Popeyes. The line can be out the door and the business can still be bleeding to death. That's the part nobody at the drive-thru window sees. Popeyes has been serving Louisiana-style fried chicken since 1972. For decades, it was the spicier alternative to KFC. Bolder flavors, crunchier coating, devoted following in the South. Then came August 2019, the chicken sandwich that broke the internet. Hour-long lines, fistfights in parking lots, sold out nationwide, the biggest fast food launch anyone had ever seen. Franchisees are still going bankrupt from it. The sandwich-strained kitchens caused staffing nightmares, and operators complain that high corporate fees and rising food costs leave them losing money despite strong sales. The lines made headlines. The franchise struggles didn't. One Georgia operator: "We're selling more sandwiches than ever, and I'm still losing money every month. People see the line and think we're rolling in it. I'm 3 months from closing. Popular and profitable aren't the same thing. And when franchisees fail, locations close, no matter how famous the sandwich is." 16. Burger King. In 1954, Burger King introduced America to the flame-grilled Whopper. For decades, they were McDonald's only real rival. The #2 burger chain, Have It Your Way, the place where you could get your burger made to order. 400 locations closed in 2023 alone. Multiple major franchisees bankrupt. 120 stores sold to corporate for $4.7 million total. Do the math. That's less than $40,000 per restaurant. Some Burger Kings were literally worth less than a used car by the time they sold. Critics say corporate let weaker operators struggle for years before stepping in. Franchisees complained they weren't getting support. By the time action came, whole regions had collapsed. A rural Georgia family lost their only burger option besides McDonald's. The Golden Arches raised prices the month after Burger King closed. When your only competition disappears, you don't get better. You get more expensive. This isn't just about another sign coming down. It's about one more place where ordinary people could still afford to feel normal disappearing from the map. 17. Applebee's. In the 1990s and 2000s, Applebee's was America's default dinner. The place you went when nobody could decide. The restaurant that was always nearby, always open, always affordable enough. Riblets, 2 for $20. Half-price appetizers after 9 p.m. For suburban families, it was the path of least resistance. Nobody's favorite, but nobody's objection either. 300-plus locations gone since 2017. Kansas City lost 8 overnight when a franchisee filed bankruptcy. Here's what killed them. They trained you to expect endless discounts. Dollaritas, 2 for $20 specials, half-price everything, and then couldn't afford to keep offering them. Franchisees were furious. The promotions cut margins to nothing and didn't even save traffic. The parent company juggled debt between Applebee's and IHOP while both brands slowly bled out. A Kansas couple went to their spot of 20 years. Same booth where they'd celebrated anniversaries, birthdays, ordinary Tuesdays when cooking felt like too much. Boarded up. They drove around for an hour looking for somewhere that felt right. Nothing did. Nothing was their place anymore. That's 17 chains. 17 pieces of American life. Breakfast, dinner, celebrations, late-night meals, either gone or going. If you're watching this and you're over 60, you've now lived long enough to see the affordable restaurants of your middle age disappear. What used to cost $8 just this once is now $22, and most people just skip it. This isn't happening to someone else. This is happening to you. And if you thought the old reliable brands were safe, you're wrong. 18. Cracker Barrel. Rocking chairs on the porch. The peg game that's been frustrating kids since 1969. Biscuits and gravy served on plates that look like they came from your grandmother's kitchen. For over 50 years, Cracker Barrel has been pure Americana. Deliberately old-fashioned, stubbornly traditional, frozen in a version of the past that felt safe and familiar. This was the road trip institution. The place you stopped between cities when everyone was hungry and tired. The after-church spot for families who'd been going since the kids were small. The brand that was supposed to never change is changing because investors demanded it. 4 closures in early 2024. Oregon now has 0 locations. A logo controversy sparked backlash so fierce they reversed course within weeks. Stock dropped 27% in a single month when customers thought the chain was abandoning its identity. Investors wanted a new Cracker Barrel, modernized, efficient, appealing to younger customers. They scared away the people who loved the old one. A Tennessee woman has been bringing her mother to Cracker Barrel for 30 years. It's her favorite place on earth. Same order every time. Same rocking chair she likes by the window. But now they're changing the menu, modernizing the stores, talking about repositioning the brand. She doesn't recognize it anymore. Last time we went, she asked me if we were in the right place. She's 82. She's scared it won't be there much longer. And honestly, I'm scared too. For a certain generation, Cracker Barrel was the last place that still felt like the America they remembered. Now, even the places built on nostalgia are being told to modernize or die, and the people who built them are being left behind. 19. Panera Bread. They closed the bakeries, outsourced the bread, and got sued over a drink. For years, Panera was the better fast casual, the place where you paid a little more because the food felt cleaner, healthier, fresher. The bread was baked on site. The soups were made from scratch. It felt like a step up from the garbage at the drive-thru. All 9 fresh dough facilities are now closing. Third-party suppliers taking over. The fresh bakery that defined Panera, gone. Then came the lawsuits. Panera's charged lemonade, loaded with caffeine but not clearly labeled, was linked to at least 2 deaths and multiple injuries. Wrongful death suits, settlements, a PR disaster they're still digging out from. A retired teacher in Chicago used to meet her book club at Panera every other week. It was our place for 8 years, then the portions got smaller, the prices went up, and last time the soup was lukewarm and the bread was stale. We're paying $15 for soup in a bread bowl that tastes like it came from a freezer. We stopped going. Nobody suggested we find somewhere else, we just stopped meeting. The value proposition didn't just decline, it collapsed. And when the better option stops being better, people don't trade down, they give up. 20. Golden Corral, America's buffet. Since 1973, where big families gathered, the chocolate fountain, the carving station, all you can eat at prices that didn't require math before ordering. 490 locations before COVID, around 305 now. The pandemic made self-serve dining illegal in many states. Multiple franchisees filed bankruptcy. Buildings sat empty for years. A Texas grandmother. 4 generations at one table. Little ones got chicken fingers. I got my roast beef. Nobody argued because everyone got what they wanted. Now it's gone. Thanksgiving at a regular restaurant cost $400. Nobody was happy. The little ones didn't understand why they couldn't go back for more. For big families on tight budgets, the buffet was the only way everyone could eat together without somebody feeling like a burden. That option is disappearing. That's 20 chains. 20 American institutions closing, shrinking, or fighting to survive. But here's what this list really is. 20 ways to tell ordinary people they don't matter. 5-year outlook. By 2030, most of these brands will cluster around highways, wealthy suburbs, and tourist zones. Small towns and aging neighborhoods, fewer options, longer drives, empty buildings where life used to happen. You'll see it in small ways. More dark parking lots at 8 p.m., more for-lease banners where the neon used to be, more gas station food because everything else is too far or too expensive. If you're 65 today, that means the places you can still comfortably afford to sit down and eat will shrink every year between now and your mid-70s. That's the part no one is saying out loud. Most videos about restaurant closures blame changing tastes or the economy and move on. That's the easy story. The real story is darker. Private equity firms bought these chains, loaded them with debt, stripped out value, and left when the math stopped working. You weren't a customer to them. You were a line item they optimized away. But maybe this correction needed to happen. For years, these chains shrank portions while raising prices, cut quality while blaming inflation, charged $18 for a burger that used to cost $9 and made it worse. Private equity loaded them with debt, squeezed every penny, and left customers holding the bag. If you're on Social Security, a pension, or savings, you felt it. 2 casual meals now cost what a week's groceries used to. And that food isn't kind to a 60-year-old heart. This isn't collapse, it's correction. Exactly like the stock market when prices get absurd. So you have a choice. Support what you love while it's still here. Show up. Spend money. That's a vote. Or vote the other way. Every dollar not spent at chains that gouged you is a message. Cook at home. Support local places that care. Let the chains that abandoned their customers fail. A grocery rotisserie chicken is $6. Home cooking costs a fraction of reheated restaurant food. Your money, your choice. But before you decide, understand what we're really losing. We're not just losing restaurants. We're losing the cheap little rituals that made hard weeks bearable. The birthday booth, the late-night coffee, the $8 breakfast that meant you weren't alone. The places where grandparents took grandkids, where church groups gathered, where divorced dads made visitation weekends feel normal. Those places are disappearing, and once they're gone, they're not coming back. The brands that survive will be the ones who earned it, who gave real value to real people. The rest will be empty parking lots and faded signs. And for the ordinary Americans who used to fill those booths, they'll figure something out. They always do. They just shouldn't have to. Because when the last affordable places disappear in silence, it's not just the lights going out, it's ordinary life being priced out of reach. That's why you're not hearing this from them. The fewer places you can afford to sit down and eat, the easier it is to pretend nothing's wrong. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if this helped. Share it. Because if we don't notice what's disappearing, we won't recognize what's left.